Walgreens, one of the largest pharmacy chains in the U.S., has admitted to its part in the opioid epidemic that has ravaged San Francisco and many other communities across the country. The company has agreed to pay $229.9 million to settle a lawsuit filed by the city attorney's office, which accused Walgreens of violating state and federal laws by failing to monitor and report suspicious orders and prescriptions of opioids. The lawsuit also alleged that Walgreens incentivized its pharmacists to fill more opioid prescriptions, regardless of their medical necessity or legitimacy. By doing so, Walgreens contributed to the widespread diversion and abuse of opioids, which resulted in thousands of deaths and overdoses, as well as increased crime and homelessness in San Francisco. The settlement is the largest ever paid by a pharmacy chain for its role in the opioid crisis, and it includes $200 million in civil penalties and $29.9 million in restitution to the city. As part of the settlement, Walgreens has also agreed to implement a comprehensive compliance program to prevent future violations and ensure the safe and responsible dispensing of opiates. San Francisco has been struggling with a devastating opioid crisis that has claimed thousands of lives and overwhelmed its health and social services. The city sued Walgreens, along with other opioid manufacturers and distributors, for its role in fueling the epidemic by unlawfully dispensing millions of illegitimate opioid prescriptions. After a historic bench trial, a federal judge found Walgreens liable for creating a public nuisance and contributing to the city's opioid crisis. Walgreens agreed to pay nearly $230 million to settle the lawsuit, avoiding further damages. The money will be used by the city to expand its opioid crisis response, including treatment beds, dual diagnosis beds, abstinence-based programming, and transitional housing. The settlement is the largest ever awarded to a local government amid years of continuing, nationwide opioid-centered litigation. The city hopes that the settlement will bring some relief to the communities that have suffered immensely from the opioid crisis and prevent further deaths and harm. San Francisco has been hit hard by the opioid epidemic, with drug-related deaths surging by 41% in the first quarter of this year and one person dying of an overdose every 10 hours. This alarming situation has been driven largely by the proliferation of the synthetic opioid fentanyl, which can be up to 50 times more potent than heroin and lethal even in very small doses. Fentanyl has infiltrated the local drug market and contaminated other drugs such as heroin, cocaine, and methamphetamine, exposing users to unintentional and fatal overdoses. The epidemic has also disproportionately impacted Black individuals, who have more than 5 times the citywide death rate from overdoses. The city has been grappling with this crisis for years, but it worsened during the COVID-19 pandemic, which disrupted substance abuse treatment programs and increased social isolation and stress among people who use drugs. In December 2021, Mayor London Breed declared an official state of emergency in the Tenderloin district, where most of the overdose deaths occur, to address the escalating epidemic. The city has also ramped up its overdose prevention efforts in 2022 and 2023, expanding access to treatment and medication, hiring more outreach staff, and distributing naloxone, the antidote for opioid overdose, to thousands of people. Despite these efforts, San Francisco still recorded 620 accidental drug overdose deaths in 2022, a slight decrease from 640 deaths in 2021 and 725 deaths in 2020, but still far too high for a city of its size. Fentanyl was involved in 72% of these deaths, making it the leading cause of drug mortality in the city and the country. The city continues to look for innovative solutions to combat the opioid crisis, while also holding drug dealers accountable for bringing deadly substances into the community. This is why Walgreens' settlement with San Francisco over its role in the opioid epidemic is a significant development. The pharmacy giant agreed to pay $230 million to the city to resolve allegations that it failed to prevent the diversion of prescription opioids and contributed to the public health emergency. The settlement is the largest between a city and a single company related to the opioid epidemic, and it will help fund more programs and services to help people who are struggling with addiction and save lives.